everybody. I'm getting ready to prune some tomato plants, and I'm going to bring you along with me so you can see how it's done. So basically we're looking for anything that's looking like it's damaged or might be starting to get spots, or anything that's down low to the ground that's preventing airflow. Because if you prevent airflow, then your plants are more at risk for diseases. So like this one right here, it's hanging down on the ground. See that? It's kind of touching the ground. I'm going to cut that off because it's not going to produce anything. And by cutting it off, it's just going to make it easier for all of the other fruit to grow better and bigger. So you want to look for things like that. See the spots on it? Yeah, we just want to get rid of that. And any kind of black spotting or blanching or anything that you notice, we just got to cut it off. So I'm probably going to take this one off too. It is close to the ground, but it's also got a little bit of spotting here. You see that? So just to prevent anything from spreading or whatever that might be, we're just going to cut it off. It's a nice clump of tomatoes right there. There's a bunch of them. Pretty big. This tomato plant is already growing some pretty nice tomatoes. They're cherry tomatoes. Here is something else that you're going to want to prune off. You see this little thing right here? That is a sucker. And if you don't take that off, then it's going to take all of the nutrients. And if you have any tomatoes growing down on this one, they're not going to get as big as they could, because this thing is going to take all of its nutrients. So you just want to snip that off. So this limb right here is trying to wrap around. I don't know what it's doing. It's curling up and doing something weird. I'm just going to cut that off. It's not producing anything, and it looks like it's just going to rub on here and make some kind of damage on it. So I'm just going to cut that and this off. So this is an actual volunteer plant. I'm not really for sure if it's squash or I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's some kind of a squash. But so far, I just see blossoms but no fruit. So I don't know. It's kind of a surprise. It was kind of in with my tomato. I planted this tomato plant, and then this came up next to it. So I just kind of want to see what it is. So we're going to let it grow, see what kind of fruit it produces. Whew. So pruning can take you a while, especially if you have 20-something or more plants. I know some people who have hundreds of tomato plants. That would take a long time to go through all of those and prune them. Oh my goodness gracious. So, you know, the Bible talks about pruning. I don't know if you know what it says, but in John 15 it talks about how pruning is necessary and that God prunes us. He's like the gardener of our heart. So pruning reminds me of how, what God does in our hearts. And also what we should be trying to do as well. And if anything is not of God, we need to prune it out of our hearts and out of our lives. Anything that's not of Him needs to be cut off. So also, God helps us with that. He cuts things out of our lives that are not of Him. The Bible says that if something's not attached to the vine, that it can't live. It can't remain in Him. So if there's things in our lives that are not of Jesus, it's preventing us from producing fruits. It's preventing us from producing the fruits of the Spirit, patience, goodness, kindness, all of those fruits of the Spirit. If we're not pruning, asking God to prune our hearts, then we're going to produce no fruit. It's not really, if you think about your garden and how if you don't prune your tomatoes or, any other plant that you might have, it might produce some fruit, but it may not produce all the fruit that it could. The fruit may not be big. The fruit may not be, the best that it can be. So it's kind of like, what the Bible says in John 15, where, God, I actually have my Bible right here. It says, let me go to it. John 15, verse 1. I am the vine, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be given you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. I love that. And I love how, sometimes I think about these things while I'm in the garden. I don't know if I'm the only one, but they just, it just comes to me. I don't know. I just think about it. Gardening's kind of my deep thinking time. And so it just reminds me of that when I'm cutting off these branches in my garden and I'm like, you're doing no good here. You're gone, and so I just cut it off. Or, things that are evil or things that are bad in our life that could cause more bad things, like diseases, you got to cut them off. You got to get it off of there, or else you won't produce any fruit. So just a thought for today. Thought I would share.